Okay, thanks, sweetie. No, it just says the orientation is locked to rotate device back, but it'll still be recording because that's why I went out there and tested your
It
phone.
is recording,
So
but it's just what it looks like for the chat.
I can't help that. This is why they should leave things when something is not broke, don't fix it. Real simple concept, but when you're a common sense person, you get it. Anyways, when they start losing customers, and then let's see, Rumble gets more customers, Instagram, all these other companies, and YouTube starts losing. I don't know, man. Maybe I want to investigate. Just saying. Anyways, so we got something in the mail.
It's good now.
Okay. So our last unbagging we got was, actually I needed some strings and definitely some picks. And I ordered a whole bunch of strings and picks. And the picks I've gone back to use. Let's see if I got it in here. Yeah, I got one in here. Believe it or not, are these, well, this is kind of used up. It's the Gin Dunlop Flow pick. And believe it or not, it's a .73 millimeter. A little bit more on the thin side, which I used to hate those picks. And for years, I mean decades, I was using either the 1 millimeter or the 1.5 millimeter. But what started to happen down here is the string breakage. And tried everything. And when I stumbled on a video on these flow picks, I thought, well, let me try this. And yeah, it takes a while to get used to. When you've been using a 1.5 millimeter, between a 1 and 1.5 millimeter, and you go down to a .73 millimeter, yeah, it does take a while to get used to. However, the misconception, even though the .73 millimeter pick flaps a little bit, obviously more than the 1 to 1.5 millimeter, the misconception that you cannot control it to do shredding is not there. It's, I want to say it's 75 to maybe 85 to 95 or 90 or 85% not there. And what I mean by that is once you learn how to use the pick, you learn how to control it. The advantage that the 73 millimeter has over the heavier picks when you want to control your dynamics, and I'm not saying using the pad of your finger, I'm the actual pick, you could control your dynamics better with a thinner pick than with a heavier pick with overdrive. When I'm playing my shows on my ME90, I have a switch where I got the amp that's in crunch mode, and I got a switch where I can hit it where I got the tube screamer or the Boss blues distortion, blues overdrive pedal. When I take it off, now it's just the amp's crunch. Now when I do my more lighter picking, it comes across better with the thinner pick. So and big plus, I don't break as many strings. That's a big plus. So something for everybody out there. If you want to use the thicker picks, yeah, go ahead and go for it, man. Maybe you won't break strings like I was. Maybe my hand's stronger. Who knows? But the point is that to tell someone that you have to use that to be able to play fast, no, you practice and you learn how to control it. That's what it is. Straightforward, right to the point. So that was my last unbagging. I didn't do the unbagging because I had to put the strings on the 12 string. Although you saw that video. Anyways, now we got something here from Amazon. And this was a gift. I'm not going to say their names unless I get their permission. But they're really nice folks. Real nice people. And they gifted me and another driver for, taking their daughters to school safely and that. And, well, let's go ahead and see what's in here. Now, I already cut the top part just to check to see everything was not damaged, And we're all right here. So this is from Amazon. And it is this. It is a set of Rembrandt soft pastels. I have some oil pastels from Paul Rubens. Now, you're probably thinking, well, what does this got to do with music? Well, it doesn't. It's art. And let's see if I get something to open this this up here. I do. Soft pastels are like chalk sticks, but they're not exactly chalk. But it is the pigment of the paint in its purest form. And well, here, let me get back to what I was saying with the art. Art's very therapeutic for me. It's very, very helping. I used to draw a lot when I was younger and getting back into it. I watch more art videos than I do guitar videos. Far more art videos because I'm out there playing. So it's it's not that I know everything. Of course, I go into something new, but what I'm seeing is nothing new. That's what I'm seeing. So, anyways, we'll see how these came out. We put those there. This is a 60 count of the it's the half stick. Ooh, something else stuck here. Oh boy. Well, I'll tell you what, guys. I know I see people fumble and bumble. I'm not gonna fumble and bumble, and I'm not gonna get all upset. We're just gonna do this, guys. Sorry about that. Keep things simple and real, right? Okay, so let's see what we got. It's got a little brochure, history of the Rembrandt, off of named after the artist Rembrandt. A lot of these pastels, including the oil pastels, have this sponge foam to protect the color from leaking through and getting on the cabinet. Okay, so, and this is basically what they are. Pretty interesting that the box is a little bit bigger than the actual pastel. But, so these are like chalk sticks. And it's pretty cool. Now, there's a technique I learned. I'm going to go ahead and do a demonstration, and I'm going to do a real quick backdrop. I call it backdrop. Artists call it underpaintings. Let me just set this there because I got to open up. I'll keep these together here. I got to open up. This is a panel, canvas panel board, a 9 by 12 here. And then I'm going to start talking about some of the gigs in that. Michael's has their own brand called Artist Loft. If you're going to buy canvas panel boards, they do have them at Walmart. However, they're really, you got to be careful because if you wet them even a little bit, they'll bow because they're more of a cardboard than an actual board. The Michael's brand is more of a thin board, but it's more of actual wood. It's not cardboard. So when you wet the canvas board, even with this alcohol, I'm going to show you with the rubbing alcohol in a moment here, it won't bow. And I'm going to unbag this box. I got a student coming out for lessons at 6, so I'm going to kind of be a little bit quick about this. So, got my white canvas board here. Now what I do, and what I've learned, I could spray this, but what I'm going to do is I use one of these foam brushes because it doesn't leave any hair particles, which is pretty cool. Some of your brushes will leave a little bit of fibers. I got all kinds of brushes here, but the bristles sometimes will come off. The bigger ones, for bigger, sometimes these will come off, and it's kind of a pain. I got smaller brushes too. The ones that don't come off are the ones we got from Walmart. Pretty interesting. Go figure. Anyways, I'm going to take a little bit of this instead, because the thing is with the soft pastels, you could do your backdrop and you could spread it around with your hand to create this faded or hazy background. What I like to do is wet it with the alcohol. It's 70% rubbing alcohol. And I'm just going to put a little bit in here. And then the rest I'll probably put in my little spray bottle there. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is take this because I'm going to do an underpainting. And then here's the difference between the rubbing alcohol versus the water. The rubbing alcohol dries real quick. So if you're in the middle of a project, by the time you're done with spreading out your brush strokes and that, it's almost basically dry. And you can take a hair dryer and help dry it even more. But definitely if you use water and if you're tight for time, get the hair dryer and dry out your canvas, to just dry it out. So if you want to layer extra stuff on top. But let's go ahead and see what we got here because I'm kind of excited for this, man. So my backdrop, let's see, what kind of color do I want in my backdrop? So, I'll show you an example. I did this with my other pastels, the Michaels brand. And what I did was I drew this out in ink, black ink, and one of these fine art markers. And so there's the picture right there, if I can do that. And what I did was I drew this in, colored this in with the tree, the hole in the tree, the fence. And then I wanted to do an experiment with a pastel going over it, actually two pastels, a little bit yellow and orange, and then taking my sponge brush, dip it in the alcohol, and then going over it. And I wanted to see if it would smear the ink. Not only did it not smear the ink, but it didn't really bow the paper. Now this is watercolor paper. I believe that's what they call cold press. They got cold press and warm press. This is soft pastel background, and it bowed. But how this happened was, I took sanitary wipes. I saw a video of a lady doing this. She took the sanitary wipes. She took two colors and put it on the wipe, and then went over it. And that's what I did. And actually, you can see some of my finger marks here, but that's okay because I wanted a certain effect. But it made the paper bow. And then I took Prismacolor color pencils and started to draw in the fence and the backdrop just to see what would happen here. But now here, we're going to do this on canvas board with these Rembrandt soft pastels. I think I know what I'm going to do here. Got some really cool greens here. What I might do is, what's nice is cool. It's round, so you could do more detail, with the edge, or you could do this. And we do that. And you'll see what I mean. Of course, it's going to flatten it a little bit because, Now, I'm going to add a lighter green, or maybe I'll add a little bit of a yellow. How's that? Let's go ahead and add a yellow in there. Sometimes you just gotta go with the flow, man. Now I got a plastic garbage bag underneath here. I'm gonna just wipe that off so I can keep that. I think these were like $60 with a set of 60. So some of this stuff is not really cheap, but cheaper than buying a guitar, that's for sure. Now I'm going to take this into the rubbing alcohol, and I put, I moisten it a little bit here, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes you just got to go with the flow, man. Don't be afraid. And then I just go like this and like that. I put too much on there, but that's okay. And I want to show you something. When you want to create patterns with just brush strokes, sometimes that's what you do. We use some other alcohol. Now here, I'm creating these patterns. So what's going to happen is this. It's going to dry like that. And I did put too much on here. So you got a pattern right here. I don't know if you can see that. Which could be kind of cool because if I want to create a forest, this will be the backdrop. I want to create like trees through here, A lot of times when you go through nature parks, you'll see if you focus in on one area, you'll see a lot of trees, and then you'll see some in the background. It's to me, it's gonna be all this green. I could keep it like that, or let's see if I move this around. Okay, maybe I'll keep it like that and let that dry. Yeah, let that dry, and then bring a cup of water, but that's okay. Now the thing is with this, that's gonna dry. Now I could bring in the blow dryer here. What I'm gonna do is this thing is moving because I got this overhead fan going. On bigger canvases, what I'll do, and I got some what size is this? Let's say, yeah, 18 by 24 with a 1/2 inch return. So in other words, maybe I could just do it with this. What I mean by a return, let me show you. Now this is a 3-pack, but you got a return right here. There's 3 of them in here, so you have like a borderline. They have other ones that's got a 1-inch return. They call those a gallery style canvases. Usually I'll paint all 4 sides, but then lately there was a new thing I was doing where I don't paint the sides at all, but and I create just like I forget what it's called, but a technique like this, but just kind of like over it, so you still have the white on front of the canvas and on the sides, and then I'll do a drawing like right there. I forget what that technique is called, guys. Sorry about that. But what it does is that it creates, again, different patterns for different styles. That's all it is. Now, if I zoom in on this, you'll see my brush strokes in that, and that's fine. Here's the thing: if any of you get into painting or drawing and that, don't be afraid when you do your initial underpainting, because what looks like could be a mistake, you could turn into something else. Let me show you something. This right here, I found out by doing this one. This is on, let's see, I forget what this is on. Mixed media paper. Anyways, so this picture right here, without the trees in that, all I had was this mixture of blue and green and turquoise, kind of like a mess. And for the longest time, I'm like, oh crap, I don't know what to do with it, And then I saw a video of this hazy, foggy forest. So I started just experimenting. The backdrop is with the soft pastels. The trees here is with the oil pastels, and I just smeared it and dabbed it like for trees fall, leaves fall in that. And, it's not the perfect thing right there. However, it took what I thought was going to be total waste into something now a little bit more tolerable. And then here's the thing. If you want to learn how to do realism, you practice. Realism is the technique of almost photographic like. But I've heard people say this. When you're new to this and you're trying to build on your technique, of course you're going to make mistakes in the beginning. One good doorway into the world of painting realism is to learn how to paint impressionist painting. And that's basically what this could be. You get the impression that there's a force. Now, it's not exactly, looks just like a force, but it's almost like maybe cartoonish or impressionist. Once you learn that, and the more that you develop your technique, and that you take your time too. A lot of these people that do these paintings, not only are they incredibly gifted, but a lot of them, that's all they're doing. They're not out gigging like I am. So for me, it's going to take more of a time, because I got the 2 different worlds going on. However, my advantage is that I get to see my progress excel. Now, I don't have I got them put away, but I have some other drawings I did of like houses and that. And I look at them like, whoa, it's almost spot on, man. I'm like, holy crap. I didn't, and that was when I came back after drawing for what, 36 years. Do I have one available? No, I don't. Anyways, but I was pretty much impressed after taking that long of a break from drawing and all that, and then getting back into it, and then this. But see, I took my time when I did that drawing, and I did one of a fireplace with a vase on top, and it was like, man, right, almost perfect, man. I was like, for someone that hasn't been drawing it for like ever, it came out pretty good. So I have to see what it got. Oh yeah. You know what here, but that's okay because it'll come off. When I was doing with the sponge uh, brush, I dabbed some of the color on the different colors, but that's okay because it'll come off. It'll come off. But yeah, these we'll see how these pastels work. They do seem to be a lot. How can I say? That one girl in one video, she says they got some weight to it, meaning they got density, meaning that it's more of the paint than is this mixture. And someone else had said that this brand Rembrandt, they do not use any chemical mix. It's more of a pure paint, which is great. And what I've learned that these soft pastels they go back centuries. It's the painting in its purest form. Now I do have some oil paints here. I get like use them. I got the chemicals, but I bought a small set on sale just to mess with before I go all into it and figure, oh, I don't like it, you know. But so what I'll do here is now this is basically dry, and you see all those brush strokes, right? It looks almost like I don't know, man. And to me, I'm thinking, oh, maybe I messed it up. You know, I could see my strokes. Sometimes, what draws people in are your brush strokes. If you create patterns, and one of my other paintings I got drying out there, I created these patterns, and then, man, I was like, I don't know if I want to put anything to it. Well, like this one right here, it has pattern to it. So, do I want to put something on it, or is it something that you could just hang on a wall to match with the color of your wall or your furniture? And there's all these things I started to discover in the art world that it's not just about painting pictures; it's about painting like your abstract painting, and people will sell this to these high end the custom home market, or they'll sell them to the um, hotel industry. And this is a real interesting thing I learned. Some of the paintings that you see hanging on the walls in the hallways of hotels. So, like when you're walking out of your hotel room, and you're walking down the hall, you might see paintings, or especially if you see one big one where your elevators are at. If you notice those paintings, they're just kind of they're not something you can want to stand there and stare at. And I learned this the reason being is that they want you to wander around the hall and in the hotels because they want you to go down to the gift shops. But those paintings are there just to fill up the wall space, and it's something that is kind of decorative, but yet it's not meant to be standing there staring at. So there's this industry that has opened up these doors to this world, and it's like it's all these opportunities. I'm like, holy crap! I never really thought about that. But you know, some of the hotels we've stayed at, yeah, I would see them, and it's like, what's that supposed to be? It looks kind of cool, but it's just a design, and it's not meant for you to stand there for hours staring at it because they instead of you staring at one of the paintings hanging on the wall, they want you downstairs at the gift shop or the restaurant spending money. That's the whole name of the game. But getting back to these pastels, I'm gonna have a lot of fun with these, man, because I could definitely, uh, yeah, there's a lot, and I got 60 colors. I guess this brand Rembrandt has a 200 count set. Now they have larger sticks that are wrapped with paper, kind of like let's see, my oil pastels. They're wrapped, but then you have these, which is nice because you get in there and again, a lot of this stuff, this brand, you cannot get it at Michael's unless there's a Michael's you can get at, but it's not at ours. The same with the Paul Rubens or the Sennelier. That's a brand that's actually, I think, a French brand that Picasso went to one of the Sennelier guys and asked if they could invent these pastel sticks. I guess back in World War II, things were being used for our servicemen, and certain materials he couldn't get. So he went to Sennelier, and the guy said, "Okay, well I can see what I come up," and he came with these pastels, both the soft pastel and these oil pastels. And I could whip this out because I got them available here. These are very large oil pastels, and if you notice, they're wrapped. They're in a tube, but they're wrapped in this paper you could peel off. But there's there's the pastel itself. The thing with oil pastels, they never really completely dry, but there are fixatives you could put over specifically for oil pastels. Um, yeah, it's very therapeutic, and it's very kind of creative side of things. And to me, music and art, they do go together. When we do our art shows where we're actually selling our paintings, I'm in the booth playing. So yeah, I'm really happy with these. I'm really glad that we got these. I'll put it back a little bit here underneath here. I'm sure this slides off, but I'm not gonna sit there forever trying to get something off. Oh yeah, it's got it. It's got it. Yeah, I should just, I guess, take it off of here, but that's okay. That's okay. The professional choice. Okay, no big deal. Now, what's going on with the gigs? Tomorrow is our this is gonna be our final gig at Jungle Bird for the season, and we'll be doing it again 6 to 9. We got what's called residency gig there, but in season. And for us over there, we're the very first Monday in January, and we play to the very last Monday in April. And then what's called off season is the summertime because it gets so hot down here, and people go back up north. Now, if it rains, then we get rained out. That's the only thing because it's outside. Um, but what's real interesting is that we're starting to see more of the shift in the music, and thank God that we're still being able to get our gigs at. Is At our gig on Saturday, the birthday gig, one of our friends came up, was talking, just asked Deb about if we're having a hard time getting gigs, and Deb says, "No, not really, but so we have our day gigs, so we always have money coming in." But I guess a few other locals they're starting to have a hard time. And I know what's going on because I'm calling these managers and club owners and all that, restaurant owners, and some of the feedback that I've gotten, I mentioned this before. Some of the feedback that I got was um, usually for the summer they kind of slow down and they're not hiring much because it's off season. But this particular summer, they a couple of the owners slash managers had told me they're waiting to see what happens this hurricane season. The one lady said, call back in May, which is next month, to see if they're going to have anything throughout the summer, and they're going to wait to see what the prediction is for this upcoming hurricane season. Another lady said that they're not going to be doing anything until they'll pick back up in season, but this time it's not going to be in September. It's going to be the middle to the latter part of October. And I know why they're doing this is because the last few hurricanes that come through here, Ian hit us. Another one, I don't know why I forget the other one between Ian and Milton, hit further up north, and then Milton hit further north, but part of Port Charlotte and Punta Gorda, which is just the next town north of us, not very far at all. And that whole area right there. Some places got hit bad, some places didn't. The problem is when these restaurants get hit, it's not like, okay, they clean up after the hurricane and they can reopen. It doesn't work like that. They got the insurance people got to come in, and then they got the inspectors got to come in to deem it safe to open up as a restaurant again. So it pushes back. There are still some places that haven't reopened yet. And a couple of people have said that they can't do this too much. In other words, every hurricane that they're getting, they can't constantly pull money out of their pocket and rebuild again. It's becoming a little bit tough, so they're holding off. So we'll see what happens. And we still got our corporate gig next month as well in Orlando. Funny thing is, I remembered, there's a few people I've talked with about this. But I remember one guy in particular was like, wanted to put something together with me. He sings and this, that, and the other. And, the constructive criticism, that's not a problem. Sometimes people see something that I can't, and that's all right. But, the funny thing is that he's giving me all this advice, along with a few other people I've talked to about what you should and shouldn't do. But this one guy in particular, and when I first met him, we were first talking, and he was telling me this, telling me that, and then I asked him. He gave me the impression he was already out there playing. So I figured, I asked him, well, where are you playing at? Oh, I'm not really playing anywhere. Okay. Then I got thinking to myself, well, if you know so much, how come you're not out there playing? And if what I'm doing is not good, then why am I out there playing? You know what I mean? So it's interesting when people want to say certain things about this, or they want to team up with me, and they're not doing anything for themselves. It's like, well, am I going to be doing all the work? So it's good that people kind of pull themselves together as well. This is why when people, ask, could you help me and my band out? And whoever's going to help them, whoever they're asking might say, well, what are you doing for yourself? Before I invest money in you, I want to see what you're doing, because otherwise, if you're not doing anything for yourself, I can't do anything. You have to kind of pull your own weight. That's just how it is. So, but yeah, I mean, we're still on our books. I do have a few places that I had called, and I have to call back next month. And one of them is up in Punta Gorda, and it's definitely a different girl that's doing the bookings. It's not the other one that's there. Last gig we did there was with my friend Kenny. The first gig I did there literally was in 2019, August in 2019. It was the 50th anniversary of Woodstock when I did the gig up there. And the lady that was booking, I got paid, but she said, oh yeah, but you don't sing. I said, well, yeah, but everyone liked it. And we got tipped good. So you'll go through stuff like that. If they don't like something, even if the customers do, they might not give you that gig. And it might take time for them to start to see what's really happening out there. You could be in these cover bands playing what you think is, it's a sure thing. It's a proven method. It's a proven, these songs have been proven. But yeah, if they've been played out for the last 20 to 30 years, it's already getting old. And we're starting to see this shift. Newer generations coming in. And that doesn't mean just the newer generation coming in at the restaurants. It's also the ones working there. They work their ways up to be manager and also in charge of the events. And if they're in their 20s and early 30s, they're going to book something that they like. And they're going to start to attract their friends. And, it's like in with the new, out with the old. And I don't like saying anything like that and to be negative. I'm just saying it as factual. Deb and I have noticed it at our birthday party gig I was talking with one of our friends, and he's not only with the Chamber of Commerce, but he's also with the Rotary Club. And he even said, yeah, there's definitely a change. And after Ian hit 3 years ago, this September, it'll be 3 years ago that Hurricane Ian hit our area and did a lot of damage. Figure it took about a good year to rebuild downtown Fort Myers, because it's right by the pier, right there. So there's a lot of damage. Took about a year. So in reality, we're basically a year and a half into a full, I call it full recovery of downtown Fort Myers being reopened. And I can tell you right now, the age demographics is did a 180, a complete 180. It is dominantly far more of a younger crowd than an older crowd, far more than what it used to be. One of the places that did have music, two of the places that had music, City Tavern used to have bands. Now they don't have any bands. I don't even think they have any DJs. They took part the stage and put booths in, and they got TVs, and they're getting free music from the places next to them on both sides. Another place called Hideaway used to have music, or maybe they still do, but every time we're done playing, at that same time when we would be done, there'd be someone in there strumming and singing. Now it's a DJ. So the whole demographics has changed. And if you don't learn how to adapt to these changes, you're going to get left behind. And it's a tough thing to face. And it's not easy, to look yourself in the mirror and saying, wow, I'm getting old. And am I going to become irrelevant? I don't think you'll be 100% irrelevant because we still have people of our age that's, you know, 50s and 60s, 70s, that's very active. But it is starting to change. And if we don't prepare for it, 10 years goes by real quick, man. And if you don't make preparations, at least for a 5 to 10 year projecting outwards, forward, oh man, you could burn through money and not realize it. And see, that's the dangerous thing. You get caught up in the excitement of the moment and thinking it's gonna last, and then next thing you know, you look back and 30 years just passed by, man. And it's incredible to see that and to come to that realization. When we got the soft pastels, and this is what, about $60. I could have easily maybe got another pedal for the music, right? And hoping that it's going to last, and I'm sure it will last 10 to 20 years. But 10 years from now, I'm not going to be 61, I'm going to be 71. And will I be able to? Oh boy, here she comes. Okay, down you go. Good thing I dried. Let me open the door for her. The difference between performing music and art. With art, there really is no age limit. With music, yeah, depending on the style, there could be an age limit. Unless you get into jazz or classical and it's deemed more older or what they call mature, it takes a lot physically out of us playing. It really does. It's because playing music is such an emotional experience to make the music come alive. So it starts to wear on the body, whereas the art, so far that I know of, it doesn't wear on the body like the music does. It doesn't. But it's interesting. The last pedal that we bought was that Zoom G2X4. Now maybe that'll last 10 years. Hopefully it does. But I got the ME90, and I know there's great stuff out there. I'm not trying to put brands against each other or anything like that. But as long as it could hold up for me and I could get a good sound, I'm good. Because at this point, I don't get free gear. We pay for it. For those who get free gear, all right, how long is that ride going to last? Because if you're not doing any much for these companies, and even if you are, they might say, look, instead of giving it for free, man, I got to start charging because, in this economy, no one's buying. And I cannot be in business to produce products to give away for free. I got to make money too. I have overhead too. I got employees, I got bills, yada, yada, yada. But for us, Deb and I were talking this morning, and I cannot jump on the bandwagons of continuing to buy gear, buy gear, buy gear, buy gear, buy gear, buy gear. And, the money I'm spent, I already got guitars, I already got effects, I got stuff that I need. There's certain things that are nice to have, yeah, but I don't need them. So, as opposed to spending money on that, it goes right in the bank because I know I'm getting older and I gotta think ahead. Anyways, I don't want to go on any tangents in that. But getting back to this now, see, it's already dry. Now, because I got a student coming out, I'm not going to do anything. I'll probably, tomorrow's my gig, so maybe Tuesday or during the week, I'll start doing some designs here. Another thing I noticed in one of these videos, let's say if I'm going to make this a forest. And sometimes the more trees you put in, the more you're going to get like shadows. So I could put in all my trees, and then I could come in with darker, colors and start to patch in darkness to give it, all right, there's going to be your shadow there, and then draw something over that. These patches of dark spots to give the illusion of the shading and still have some of the green come through. That's why I did this back underpainting with this green, because eventually that's what I'm gonna do. And I wanted to do this on the panel board before I do it on a bigger canvas. And here's something that I learned. They do have acrylic. I do have acrylic paper, 12 by 12 acrylic paper. That the paper weight is like 240 pounds. The I got a very large 22-inch by 30-inch watercolor paper here. That it's 140 pounds, so it's fairly thick. It's kind of like what this is, 140 pound thick, you know. But you have to put it in a frame, that's fine, no problem. But my point was, it's good to, if you're going to get into this, it's better that you either do this on the watercolor paper or the acrylic paper that's thick, or canvas board, and practice on it. You can still practice your drawings just on regular paper, but the reason why you want to get something as close, let's say you want to start doing stuff on regular canvas, try to practice on stuff that is of that material. Because if you practice on just regular copy paper and you build the technique on that, by the time you get to canvas could be rigid. Now you got another problem. You have not got used to that rigid surface because you've been practicing on the smooth copy paper. So the rule of thumb is try to practice on what you could be painting on, especially if you could be selling your art, your work. It's really one of the best suggestions right there, advice right there, because you're not going to be selling your work unless you want to for whatever reason. I mean, there's no right way or wrong way, but there is a difference between smooth copy paper and even mixed media paper, because mixed media paper, it's smooth, but sometimes it's not thick. The acrylic paper is smooth. The Strathmore acrylic paper, that is smooth, and you can wet it. If you could do a soft pastel, I'm kind of partial to using the rubbing alcohol because again it dries quick and it doesn't cause these weird curls. If you could do it on paper, water will do that. You got to keep that in mind. And then again, it depends on what kind of effect you're looking to do. There's all kinds of things that's optional. But if you want something that's going to maintain its flatness, yeah, see that, or a good canvas board, and these, I think the 5-pack costs maybe $7. They got different sizes. Now I do have some black panel boards. I gotta get used to using. This was this a 9 by 12? No, that's 11 by 14. Black panel board, and this is a 9 by 12. Yeah, this is a 9 by 12 black. what's cool with the black canvas board and black canvas, your darks are already there. The artist, what I been learning, the artist Rembrandt, he got popular with by doing like shadings. I forget what the technique's called. Like it's almost like doing it in reverse. And instead of drawing a picture and then coloring like black area, he already had the canvas black, and then he had his drawing in, so it would like pop out. And I think Rembrandt might have been his paintings might be in the 17th century, which would be the 1600s. So we're talking about the Baroque period. If not my mistake, I could be wrong. But there's another lady I follow on YouTube. Her name is Lydia Broderick Art, and she's very creative, man. She'll do these paintings of like a lady's face with the hair, and then within the hair, there's like all these different designs and different other paint. It's like paintings within paintings. Very, very creative. I'm like, wow, that looks so cool. Uh, so, but yeah, guys, so that's the unbagging I'm gonna do. I gotta get ready for my student coming out. So this is phase number one as my underpainting, and I could have it this way, or I could have it more portrait type, or maybe I'll have some trees in here. But I think for this one, I'm gonna go. Okay, I'm gonna go with the landscape horizontal, and maybe I'll put if I put a house in there or like a shed. But I'm gonna maybe more trees. I'll have to play around. Maybe I kind of like it like this. See, this is what I mean with these patterns. Your brush strokes. There's here's a design. Here's a design. There's a design, and there's a design. I'm kind of liking this now. We'll find out. If I decide to do it like this, then I'll do it like that. And these strokes that you're seeing there, it'll start to blend in as part of the painting. If that makes sense. Here's the thing. I never went to school for any of this. I was very young, just like a lot of us. We draw and color and that when we were kids. I used to do this before I started playing guitar. I think that I did mess with watercolor paints, but this when I was a kid. And as soon as I got involved in music, and especially heavily in music, then I put all this aside because my interest took off with the music. So getting back into this now, it's almost like picking up differently. I will say this. When I draw and I hold the pencil or the pen, I could still, now I'm getting better and more used to my newer technique. But when I first got back into it, the first thing I noticed was my hands felt different, and it's not because of the amount of time absent from drawing. It was also due to the fact that playing guitar with a pick, your hands like this, but I also play classical flamenco style. So my hands are like this. So when I hold something, it has a hard time just holding that one thing because right away they want to do something else because I practice so hard at it. You know? It is very weird. Being a musician and playing any stringed instrument, your hands are doing different things than what a normal person would do. Especially if you're playing guitar, because we could also do chord shapes. If you don't play, then your hands are not going to be doing weird shapes. You're not training your hands to do something else. See, as musicians, we're training our hands and fingers to do something else. And it does come across when I draw. It's kind of weird. It kind of, to me, it's giving me, the only way I could explain it, it's giving me a sense of rhythm when I'm doing my brush strokes and creating these patterns. It's a very rhythmic feel, going like this and going like that. Whereas way before when I was doing stuff, I never thought like that. because I wasn't practicing it, you know. But now, you know, being a musician, that's the only thing I could explain. Anyways, guys, I don't want to go on and blabbing and all that. So yeah, we will be going live tomorrow. Um, that's our final gig at Jungle Bird 6 to 9 if we don't get rained out. Then Friday we will be at the Art Walk, but we'll be playing downtown Fort Myers. We play at the Art Walk. Our art booth we do is usually at Bell Tower, and that's once a month. I play in the my booth, but we don't stream it live because we're more got the paintings set out, and it's more about selling the paintings than it is playing. So Friday then is gonna be the art walk, and then Saturday is back at the University Villages, which we were at last night in the same spot. And here's something very interesting before I close off. I didn't get it on camera. I not only were we streaming live on YouTube, but I brought back our old high def camera. This guy, I have not reviewed the video, so I get it out because it sucks up the batteries. But now I got my cable, so I plug it direct in. The Zoom Q2 HD. And it's an older USB because this camera I think came out in what 2010 or so. I can't remember when the blue one came out earlier. So we got the blue one, we got this one, and then we got the Q8. But using the Q2 is high def, so we've been recording with that. So we'll see how that comes out. But yeah, again, we're still on our books with our shows. Looks like next month we're gonna do 2 shows with the company that books us at University Villages and Miramar Outlets, which is good. Plus we got our 2 shows at in Orlando, and then the art walk and music walk, which we've been doing, and then we'll see about what's gonna happen for some of the other clubs and newer places I'm targeting. I'm not gonna be disappointed if there's nothing that happens right away because I totally understand. But it's not like I don't have anything else to do because I do. Anyways, guys, I hope this has been helpful. Yeah, but that was a big thing. It's not a guitar or an amp or a Helix pedal or a Kemper, you know, or something with my name on it. It's just something real simple as this. But as simple as this is another outlet, creative outlet. And then when I bring it back into the music, it just opens up the doors. Oh, what I was saying at University Village before I close off, we didn't get it on the camera, but there's a young couple walking by. It's a college. The college is right in that area, FGCU. Um, and young couples walking by, and they're moving and grooving and liking. The boy stopped and he's really getting into it. And it's one of my originals that I'm playing, and I'm like, I've been noticing this with this younger crowd. I get this. It's a weird thing. I get the older crowd that likes the jazzy stuff and mixed with some of the people my age, and then I get the young college age kids. And here's the thing: what's really cool with this, the Gen Zers that are liking my music are giving me this strong impression that they're going to continue to like it as they grow and as I grow. So I guess, in essence, if you want to remain relevant, and part of the reason is because of the rhythms I'm playing. That's why they're getting into it. See, I don't know what we're singing. I don't sing, and nothing that they relate to. They haven't heard any of my music before. The rhythm draws them in. That right there would be my suggestion. If you want to get relevant with this younger generation, learn some of these newer rhythms that's playing. It's going to try to get your body locked into playing with these rhythms because it's the rhythms that these kids are associating with. And when you lock in with them, again, it's I'm in the early stages with this, so time is going to be the real teacher here. But chances are I'll grow relevant with them as they grow. So the people who are older than me, sad to say this, but I have to say this, as they start to pass on, my style of music is not gonna pass on with them because I have this newer generation that's liking what I'm doing. So it gives me this very strong impression that I'll be relevant with this next generation. As long as I am able to play live. So this is something to think about, guys. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow from 6 to 9 if we don't get rained out at the Jungle Bird. So again, I hope this has been helpful. I know it's something different, but yeah, I'll definitely show what I do with this. Okay. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We love you all. Take care. Rock on and God bless. Thank you for watching.